conversation on this Wednesday, 9th day of October 2024. Karibu sana. It's Eric and CT. Ndu is on leave, but we have a guest host today, Anki Doris from KTN. She's here with us. Anki, salimia watu. Jamaa na marafiki. Tuma salamu.
Natuma salamu zangu kwa jamaa na marafiki. Najua mama yangu anasikiza, aunti yangu huko. Nashukuru sana. Nataka pia kutuma salamu kwa Murima. Sasa kusema Bwana asifiwe leo asubuhi.
Waambie pole.
Nashukuru lakini pole kwa baridi.
Very good.
Asante.
Now, Anki, you know of Naivas supermarkets.
Yeah.
They say Naivas saves you money. Naivas has several stores across the country. Okay? And some of those stores are 24 hours, particularly Nairobi. Let me tell you the ones that you already know that to be 24 hours. You know Naivas in Westlands, 24 hours. Naivas Airport View, 24 hours. Ronangala, 24 hours. Moi Avenue, 24 hours. Naivas Development House, 24 hours. Naivas Kingara, 24 hours. They have two more that are now 24 hours.
Nice.
Naivas Kamakis and Naivas Utawala. You know where Kamakis is?
Yeah, I think somewhere along Thika Road. Bypass?
Yeah. Yes, it's the Eastern Bypass.
Mahali pa nyama.
Where the Eastern Bypass joins Thika Road.
Yeah.
Hapo ndio unakula nyama mzuri kabisa. Na mutura. Ile mzuri. Kabisa. Reverend Jenga, don't you agree?
Well, I don't know what I'm getting myself into. I'm learning to be a little careful. Canon will be used against you. I have learned that many times over. But if it's about good nyama,
In Kamakis?
I mean.
Yeah, even Utawala.
I mean.
Right. So if you go to any of those two places and you'd like to shop at any time of day,
Really?
even if you're driving along that road at night, Eastern Bypass, you get to Utawala, you can get the Naivas that's open. You get to Kamakis, you get a Naivas that's open.
to know.
Two new ones. Reverend Geoffrey Njenga is one of our two guests this morning. He is a board member on the Women on Boards Network. She's here with the coordinator of the Women on Boards Network Awards, Beatrice Meso. Beatrice, good morning.
Good morning.
Karibu sana to the hot seat of the Situation Room.
Asante sana.
Karibu. You will tell us about these awards and Women on Boards and why Women on Boards is an important thing, you know? I know we have talked many times, we hear very many conversations about women joining boards, and there's been a big push for women to join boards. You'll talk to us a lot more about that. But the first thing that we are going to do is CT is going to tell you about something, about hospital and access to healthcare. You know the Aga Khan University Hospital, the main hospital on Limuru Road, Beatrice. You know it, right?
Yes, I do.
I'm sure you have also seen Aga Khan clinics somewhere, not on Limuru Road.
All over.
Senor?
Yes.
All over. How many do you think there are? Hazard a guess.
There are many. I've seen them in most of the counties, so I know there are more than 47.
There are 53.
There are
53 in total.
53.
Yes.
Okay, not very far from my guess.
No,
Yes.
your guess was an educated guess. Very well done.
There are
yes.
53 outpatient outlets by the Aga Khan University Hospital. So whenever you're thinking and you're feeling, all right, I want to go to a hospital and I need some care, you can go to any of these 53. And what services can you get there? You can get very many services, not just going at kupimwa kama uko na headache alafu uambiwe end up to the main hospital or Tirifaro. No. You can go in there and find a cardiologist at these centers. You can go in there and find a urologist at this center. Family physicians, neurologists, nutritionists, psychiatrists, ENT specialists, dentists, dermatologists, pediatricians, gynecologists. Can you imagine? And if you want some specialized care, there is one in Roysambu. It's called the Roysambu Specialty Center. There you can get chemotherapy, endoscopy, and minor day surgeries. So Aga Khan is saying, please don't stress your mind. We are coming closer to where you are.
All right.
Yes. Siti, welcome our guests with the day's proverb.
That I shall do. Our proverbs for the whole of this week come from the Kingdom of Morocco. We will be looking at other countries in the Maghreb area in the coming weeks. A kingdom, by definition, has to have a monarchy. The monarch is called Mohammed VI. As I was telling my colleague earlier on, there was a fifth, there was a fourth, there was a third, but we're not concerned about them for the moment. We're only concerned about the 6th. Now, the thing about the 6th, he is not a ceremonial king. No, he's not. He's commander of the faithful, meaning dini, yeye, kubwa. He is commander of the Moroccan Armed Forces. He is the head of the Supreme Council of the Judiciary.
Oh.
Yes, he chooses who becomes the prime minister of the country from the party that wins the election. He has the power to remove ministers. And he also has the power to terminate parliament.
Oh.
I'm sure there are very many African presidents who would pray and wish for such powers.
I can see that.
You can see that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And unfortunately, you'd need a monarchy. A democracy will just by definition, will not give you such powers.
Right.
Now the proverb. What is in the head of the camel is not what is in the head of the camel driver.
What's in the head of the camel is not what's in the head of the camel driver. Beatrice, you laugh. What's your interpretation?
Yeah.
What does this proverb tell you?
That what I have is not what you have, or not what you think.
Yes.
So
One of us is clever than the other.
okay, so in this case, Reverend, are you the camel driver or are you the camel?
Certainly not a camel. How can I be?
Well,
So what you have is not what I have.
Yeah,
We each have different things.
absolutely, and that has a lot to do with Women on Boards Network. Yeah. So he is some kind of a prophet. this
Okay.
guy. Yeah.
Okay.
okay, Reverend, just repeat that again, please.
Your
He
prof-
is some. I want this to be to hear this.
You want this to go on air?
Please. That I am some kind of.
Mtumishi wa Mungu amekuangalia.
Akaona nyota.
Thank you.
Okay, let's talk about women in business. Not women in business, but women in boards, okay? We'll come to you, Beatrice, and you'll tell us about the awards, but I want to start with you, Reverend Njenga. What is Women on Boards
Okay.
Network?
Let me give a little background. We've been told for the longest time that we are different, but that's not where the problem is, because everybody knows we are different. But for the longest time, we were made to believe that men and women were very different, and that also was not necessarily the problem. The problem was the thinking of superiority and inferiority. Like I said, many people are made to believe that male and female cannot have equal capacity to do things. And for that reason, the tendency has been, even in antiquity, to push the women down as men promoted themselves. And that has created a lot of problems the world over for ages past. Women on Boards is trying to address that disparity and that problem. And we believe very strongly that's a fallacy, that you don't have some who are better than others. You may have some physical characteristics which are different, we agree, and should be different, but it does not in any way suggest that one is superior, the other one is inferior, which means what? If we are able to bring in everybody, and that's why I like what the prophet said earlier, if we try and bring in everybody and create the possibility of getting the best from everyone, we are likely to do better at the individual level. We are likely to do better as a company level. We are likely to do better in our homes at the national level. So Women on Boards Network is trying to help everybody understand that everybody has something to bring to the table. And we are better off if we can harness it and use it for the betterment of the individual and the society. So what do? We promote diversity. we want to see that we bring in everybody and their talents to the table, wherever that table may be. Then we celebrate diversity where we see it. If in KTN, in this station, if we see this lady, this man, and that man, that's diversity, and they'll bring in their different talents and gifting. And we also drive inclusivity. We want to see as many as possible come to the table. That in a snapshot is what Women on Boards Network is all about.
You must have been born because many of you observed a big problem. You looked at boards and you felt that they didn't have enough representation of women.
Yes.
How bad was the situation when women?
Has been bad. It's not possible for me to talk statistics, but in the last 10 years, 15 years, the situation is improving. But the times before, having women on the board, on boards was the exception, not the rule. You know, you wouldn't. It was not the done thing. So we've come a long way, and we want to promote it even more, so that we have parity, that we have equal representation, not simply to appreciate the fact that one is a man, the other one is a woman, but to bring talent and to bring the gifting and to bring ability, because really, even from the scripture point of view, we are the same in terms of the ability, the quality of thinking and capacity. And why should we miss out? Because if we do not include others, or if we exclude others, don't we get less?
We do.
Absolutely.
We do.
And that is our clarion call. We want diversity. We want to promote that which has been put down for whatever reason.
Okay.
For whatever reason.
Beatrice, I want to ask you, in the corporate sector, many times, boards are not elective. Boards are appointive positions. People are appointed to join a board. Why were we not seeing many women being appointed to join the boards? Is it because board members and shareholders did not find enough pool of talent or people with a capacity to join the board? Was it just direct ignorance? Or was it that not many women were available or fronting themselves as available to join boards?
Thank you. And exactly why we have Women on Boards network. In the past, the pool for women, where to get these women, board-ready women, and women who can sit on boards and perform. You know, there are two different things. Being there just to be counted as a number to sit pretty, and bringing value to the board. So real women who bring value to the board, maybe it was felt that were not there at that time, but this is now a thing of the past. We have grown. Women on boards and other like-minded organizations are creating board-ready women with the CVs, and not just CVs, but they are really ready. They have been trained, they have been mentored, they have been prepared, and therefore ask for any woman now, you will get. So in the past, that was not there. Alongside other issues like stereotyping, you know, it would be said that women are not good at this, they will not say anything reasonable and all that. But now we have grown out of that era, and those biases are not there. And this has come from what can be proved with boards where there are women. The statistics show that where there is a balance on the board for both genders and other balances, of course, like age, it will be a good and productive board.
You see, Latif, culture is a driver of society. And we are slaves of culture by and large. We believe what we've been told. We live the life that others are living generally because we belong. And the society has been socialized to believe that there is something missing in one gender, and that is not true. Some of the most driven people I have come up across are women, and very, very able to do whatever needs to be done. I don't think it was ability, it was culture. And that is what we are trying to break into and help people understand that my daughter has equal chance with my son to do what can be done. All they need is create opportunity. And in training women, and I do train in Women on Board Network, I train in corporate governance and in risk dispute resolution. In training, you lift them up, just like I do with men. So basically, we're trying to break that cultural barrier that makes one want to believe my father, my grandfather would take me to school and not my sister. It's so unfortunate, so unfair, because, I mean, she has capacity that she could use to do great things.
Quite interesting, you know, I'm just following, and I think that's a really good thing that's happening. But the fact that, you know, as much as you're talking about men and women, one other thing really catches my attention, that despite men being men, they're also not homogeneous, they're heterogeneous.
True.
Women as well, there are of all levels of education, exposure, and when we're looking at boards, I'm trusting that there are boards across the country, around the world. Looking at Samburu, I'm looking at Maralal, even in, you know, some of the smaller towns. And I'm just curious to understand how the training goes then to empower women in these other levels of, you know, economy and grassroots to be able to then be in that position in those boards and in leadership.
We can be very specific
Okay.
if the board is looking for some specific training that can be offered. But let me tell you, and this is what Beatrice is trying to say, we want to prepare a ready-made product that can be used wherever. Board leadership or talking about board position is really about leadership.
Yes.
And you need to be prepared to lead. You need to be well prepared to lead. And that's what we are preparing. We want to help you to know how to navigate the life in the board. And it is not a brainer. It is not witchcraft. I'm told witchcraft is very complicated. And I don't want to get in there.
Yes.
Because the prophet may know more about that than myself. But it is helping someone to gain the skills. So whether they are serving in Maralal or Turkana or in New York or wherever they may be, they will have the skills to not only navigate the nuances of being on the board, but also be productive, which is what I'm looking for.
So when you talk about the training, this is where now the question comes in. What is it that you actually train in? Details. What is it that you want people to understand about being in the board? What is it that you want them to understand about service delivery if you're on the board?
If you are to, and I know you haven't tried this, I would suggest you do. If you were to drive a matatu, you'd have to be a type of a person to do that business. It requires you to be a matatu, a Kenyan matatu driver. You look like you cannot survive there, but you need to be the type of a person. Anybody serving on the board would need to know the basic things. What are they looking for? Do you have the right training? If you're talking about a certain sector, do you have what it takes to serve in that sector? If you don't, we will encourage you then to be trained in that sector to be able to fit in. Do you understand how a board operates? The etiquette of being on the board, we would help you to do that. And that's why we would train on things like corporate governance. How is leadership? How do you manage yourself? How do you manage a company? Should you become the board chair? conflict resolution management. I tell them when I teach them that it is possible that your future, your fate in the corporate world will be dependent on your ability to resolve conflicts, because they're inevitable wherever you may be. And how you handle that is going to determine whether you survive. And a few other areas which I would want Beatrice to talk about, the areas we train on, specific areas on the board.
So do you focus on the corporate world, or is it in the public? Because the public arena also has boards.
Yes, but first, leadership is leadership wherever. So before I become very specific, sector specific, I would want to help someone to be at a level where indeed they have the ingredients of leadership. What is it that we are looking for? And then you can then choose to go public, you can go to private sector, you can go to Christian religious sector, whichever other sector one may want to go to. But one has to have the basic skills of leadership, because leadership is leadership wherever you may be.
Yes, basic skills indeed to put you on the board you must have. And as Reverend has mentioned, corporate governance is key, because for you to be in a board, you have to have knowledge on corporate governance. And therefore, Women on Board trains on corporate governance. And then there is a workshop, an intense workshop on board profiling, how you just create your profile. And you learn everything about the board, what is expected of you in the board, beginning to from how you even present yourself, how you make yourself have that executive presence in the board, so that people will not be saying, oh, there is a lady there, go and serve us tea, you know. Yeah. Or
Yes.
do the prayer. Prayer is not bad, but there are some roles which are reserved for ladies in the board. So how do we get out of that and just make your presence there, and everybody sees you as any other person, or even better, the other person. And then, of course, there is mentoring. And mentoring, we are seasoned, we have seasoned mentors of people who have been in boards in this country. Remember, initially we had very few ladies in boards. Okay, those are still there, available to hold our hands, to hold the young ladies' hands. Oh, furthermore, Women on Boards has a junior wing where we have young ladies, nipping them from school, from college, and just holding their hands and growing them up. So we have that mentorship. So that is also part of learning. There is an intense 6-month program of mentorship. By the time a young woman goes through this, they have had a lot of experience.
Okay.
Our mentors are of both genders. Oh, and by the way, when we say women on boards, and that's why we have Rev here, he's a man, but he is on the Women on Boards, he's one of those championing. And when I come to talk about awards, you will see what we have for men also, men who champion the women's cause. So there are various trainings abroad and even locally. There is the Global Women on Boards program. Just imagine, this is a program with where Women on Boards Network Kenya has partnered with the others in Europe, Asia, and it's a broad program. So by the time you actually go through that, you have all the skills that you need to sit on a board.
Very good.
We also, in doing all these things, we also want to open up the horizon to help people know that there's much more out there than what we know. Oftentimes, where I come from, the saying, and I don't know whether the prophet would know it, that somebody thinks it's only their mother who cooks best. Now, I don't know how I can put that to him, but we will try after this.
One who does not travel
thinks that it's only their mother who
cooks better.
Cooks better. No. We want our women to know what the world is doing out there. It's much more than we have been able to give them. Opening that horizon is very, very important.
It's a big one.
And supporting them to know that there is much, much, much more. Networking is absolutely important because it helps you create your social capital.
We want to take a break at 27 minutes to 8. We're having a conversation about women on boards. And Women on Boards Network has an awards ceremony that's coming up, and Beatrice will tell us more about it. Beatrice Meso, she's a coordinator of the Women on Boards Network Awards, and Reverend Geoffrey Njenga, who is a board member of the Women on Boards Network. They're telling us what they've been doing as a network and why they've been doing it. Then they'll now tell us about the awards and why the awards are important. As we take this break, have you heard about Safaricom Home Fiber? Of course you have, because we've been talking about them for a while. Safaricom Home Fiber, of course you know them, Reverend Njenga. Safaricom Home Internet, connected like that. Fiber, okay?
Yes.
So a couple of years back, you may remember in the Kibaki era, when we heard that fiber has landed at the coast. The undersea cable fiber has landed, and people wondering, so what does that mean? What would that mean? Then the government embarked on this major infrastructure project, the National Optic Fiber Infrastructure Backbone Network, and they've been rolling it out. From there, you have now the last mile connector. Safaricom is one of those. It commands 40% of the market share.
Wow.
Over 500,000 homes have been connected across the country. And what that has done, it has revolutionized how we communicate, how we consume information, even how we live our lives. I'm sure you sit at home, you prepare your sermon, you prepare your training, you prepare your communication. If you're talking to people abroad, you just need to log on to your Wi-Fi and you Zoom and you speak. That's because you're at home and you're connected to Safaricom Home Fiber. They're telling everybody else who's not been converted that they should get converted and start using Safaricom Home Fiber. We are giving away 3,000 shillings, courtesy of Safaricom Home Fiber, 3,000 shillings worth of airtime. I'll tell you how shortly. Keep it here. 25 minutes to 8.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start
Save money as the sun rises. So